Hi, I'm Bree, and this is my sister Jules. I'm an English teacher,
And I just had a delicious grilled cheese.
and together we drink wine as we unpack the brilliant writing of the hit 90s sitcom Boy Meets World. Cheers! What are we drinking?
We're drinking an Oregon wine. Perhaps our first Oregon wine. A2Z Wineworks Pinot Noir, which I've been drinking it for quite a while. It's a label I've kind of gravitated towards. It's visually appealing. I like the dark green, but also it's on the more affordable price line. Usually goes for about $15, so I think it's like a very good value. And I really enjoy this Pinot Noir. What do you think?
Yeah, I like this a lot. This is really good. Mine was 20 though. Mine was like 19, and then with tax in the end, it was like 21 and change.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I see. Okay, the range is about $16 to $25. Yeah, so a bit of on the higher end, but I say it's worth it.
Like, this is a good wine to bring to a dinner party. I will admit though, and I know that you said that you like the label. The label makes it look cheaper, I think, than it is, if I'm being totally honest. I think they could make the label more expensive looking or just a little like elevated in a way, because the wine is good. It's good quality.
Okay.
I think the label makes it seem like it would be a cheaper one, and then you're like, oh, it's actually like $20, but then you buy it and you're like, oh, it's really good though.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. Okay, so the aromas are cherry, raspberry, strawberry, blackberry, so a bunch of fruits. The floral notes are rose petal, violet thyme. It's got a lot of stuff. And yeah, it literally has, it says red, blue fruits, floral notes, sometimes spice, clove, nutmeg, wood-derived notes, vanilla, cedar, oak. This feels intense. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's like every flavor wine has ever tasted. Like, I like the back. Beautifully balanced, aromatic, and delicious. This wine makes food sing, and sometimes your guests too.
Do you
Do
want
you
a
want
house
the house
tour?
tour? I could take you to the first, second, third floor. Wow, we're sisters. I'm obsessed right now with our Audrey Hobart. For those of you out there who are sleeping on Audrey Hobart, check her out. Her album, Who's the Clown, is unreal. She co-wrote for Gracie Abrams, and there's so much Gracie Abrams in her. There's something humorous and, like, dare I say, boyish about her music that I really hate that's like a thing, and we're going to get into it in this episode. Gender expectations. But I do think there's like a boyishness to her songs that I really like love, and it's the reason I like Hank Heaven, and I associate that with like Fountains of Wayne too, like this boyish humor, which is obviously why I love Boy Meets World. I love boyish humor.
Interesting.
What a segue.
That is a great segue.
So let's get into it. We watched season 2, episode 12, entitled Turnaround. Cory plans to go to the school dance with a cool girl. This was directed by David Traynor, shocker. But this was written by a writer who has not written any episode up to this point and will not write another episode of Boy Meets World. This was her only episode of Boy Meets World in the entire series. And her name is Michelle Palermo. And of course I had to Google her because I was like, why did you only write this one episode? And apparently she currently teaches screenwriting at Columbia University, my alma mater. It's where I got my master's. And she has written pilots for shows that have been considered some of the greatest TV pilots ever made. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Like, how did she get here? But I also loved the writing of this episode. I truly enjoyed who Topanga was in this episode. I loved the sort of like playing with gender expectations and like women sort of challenging them, but then kind of being like calling themselves out on like actually kind of perpetuating them, because that is where I stand completely. I think like women often make things worse for women by the way things that they do. Like, they kind of buy into the problematic things that they, you know, maybe are vocally against, but then their lifestyle doesn't match what they're, you know, preaching. And then this came out December 16th, 1994. So there was like a whisper of Christmas in this episode. it was holiday, right? It wasn't Christmas, but like clearly the Matthews are celebrating Christmas. And I kind of liked that. Like it didn't lean so much into the holiday thing. It was sort of like this other thing is happening, but also it happens to be Christmas and the holidays, which was cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, 17.5 million viewers. What were your first impressions?
I loved a holiday episode. We've gotten only a few of these so far, and I just it's like a little treat. Because you know why? When the holiday episodes come out back in the day, it usually aligned with a holiday that we were experiencing. So that would mean if I was watching it, I was probably off from school, so I was in a very good mood. So I was feeling the holiday spirit. And now that it's like end of September as of this recording, I'm like starting to get excited about the holiday season.
It's coming. It's coming.
Cozy sweaters. I love it. Tinsel. The quilted tree on the door. I loved it. I loved like the decorations were so 90s. It made me very nostalgic.
I know. I've been feeling really nostalgic lately. Is that just me, or is that like the lunar eclipse? Are we all feeling it?
I'm not feeling it any more than usual.
Okay. I've just been like, wow, I wish I could go back and just walk around for one day in the 90s again and just like look at everyone's homes and the way they decorated. And God, I miss that like stupid pinky purpley pastel colored floral like beachy wicker chair aesthetic that was like very floofy and Full House. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Interesting.
All right. Let's get into it. So we start off in the hallway, and Feeney's putting up posters for the turnaround dance. Now, did you know what a turnaround dance was?
Not at all. I only know it as the Sally Hawkins dance.
Yes!
Oh, Sadie Hawkins. The Sadie Hawkins dance originates from the popular Lil Abner Cobner strip by Al Capp, which featured a character named Sadie Hawkins. In the strip, Sadie Hawkins Day was an annual event in the fictional town of Dogpatch, where unmarried women chased and married bachelors they caught. The tradition then evolved into a popular school dance where girls asked boys to the event. Wow.
Fascinating.
They chased them.
That's fascinating.
Tag, you're it.
That is really, I think that's a statement. It's like, this is how women feel sometimes, like they're being chased and caught.
Yeah, the comic strip was in 1937.
That just like made me think about the Lupercal, which is like this Greek holiday where men run through the streets naked with whips, and they whip women in the audience with on the butt, and it's supposed to make them more fertile, and their whips are symbolic.
What is this from?
In the opening scene of Julius Caesar by Shakespeare. That's like what is happening. That's like the setting. The Lupercal. That's why Antony is like almost naked, because he's getting ready for the chase. The Lupercal. Okay, the turnaround. Yeah, the Sadie Hawkins dance. Cool. Did that make you think about the Buffy episode?
Oh yeah, always does.
Same. Okay, so he's putting up the posters, and they have a little back and forth where Turner's like, you know, can't you get like some underling to help you with this brainless grunt work? And then Fanny's like, cool, tag, you're it. And Turner now starts putting up the posters. Miss Tompkins has a return appearance. She comes through wearing an outfit that I totally would wear right now in my English classroom. She's got like literally this jean button-up shirt on that I am currently wearing, with like a cool oversized blazer, which I have literally done. I've worn this shirt with a cool oversized blazer and matching pants. So English teacher vibes. And okay, so Miss Tompkins comes in. Feeney asks if she's available to chaperone, which as a teacher, I was like, no. It's like the worst when you have to chaperone a day. I don't like it. It's just, I don't want to be around the kids when they're like, it's just like, you're not really going to police them, right? Because it's supposed to be fun and relaxed, and like, but to what extent do you need to like actually step in when things, it's just so much mental energy for me. I find I'm like exhausted by the end of it, because I'm just analyzing every situation and seeing if I need to step in or not. And it's just not fun. So he asks her if she's available to chaperone, and she's like, do I have to? And I was like, I feel that. But I'm also like, she's so bold, because she's like kind of new. And the fact that she's already talking to her boss like this, I'm like, girl, like, where's the fear? This is Feeney. And then he kind of plays matchmaker, where he sort of turns her around and faces, you know, so she's facing Turner and kind of reminds her it's a turnaround dance. So, you know, yeah, maybe you want to ask someone, wink, wink, hint, hint. And then she just goes over and Turner's like, yeah, you want to ask me something? And she just tells him like a little higher on the right with the poster. Shawn and Cory enter, and Cory's all excited about this dance. He's like, yeah, it's about time the girls had to worry and sweat and write out a list of topics to talk about on their hands. Shawn's like, you do that? Cory's like, no, never. I'm just glad the pressure's off. We just get to sit back and wait. And then, of course, Eric comes in, and his like whole persona this season is like stirring the pot. And he reminds them about this false fact that whoever asks them to the dance, like, basically determines who they are. The type of girl who asks you tells you who you are. So Cory's like, well, what if nobody asks? And Eric's like, then you're you. And then Cory's like, how do you get asked by a girl? And Eric's like, it's all about positioning. So again, like the whole theme of this whole season is Eric is performative. Nothing he's doing is real. Everything he does is calculated in order to get a girl. And then we're going to wonder later why he's single.
Yeah, he hasn't learned a thing.
I haven't learned a thing. And he like sticks his arm out as a girl is walking, and she just like attempts to continue walking, and it like pushes his whole body back. So now he's just being pulled through the hallway by her, and he's like, oh, Jacqueline, where you headed? I was just going that way. So Cory, even though if he doesn't listen to Eric, he's fine, decides to listen to Eric, and he's like, okay, positioning. All right, well, we're in the main hallway between the bathroom and a drinking fountain. There's good foot traffic. All right, let's do it. Shawn is not paying any attention to this. He truly does not care. Shawn's also like weirdly studious in this episode. Like he's like, come on, we have to get to class. I was like, oh, not Shawn telling Cory to get to class. And he's in his locker, presumably getting his books. He also like read the book. Sorry, I'm like jumping ahead, but he's like literally like, oh,
You're
it's all
right.
in this pig play, right?
You're
like,
right.
Like, good for you, Shawn.
He was very studious this episode. You're absolutely right.
Right. So Cory's like, come on, Shawn, like positioning, get your head out of your locker. And Becky, who has a very cool haircut, comes over and just flat out says, Shawn, would you go to the turnaround dance with me? Shawn's like, Becky, how are you? Sure, I'll go. Becky's like, pick you up at 8. Shawn's like, I'll wear something sexy.
And then she checks him out as she leaves.
I love that Shawn is playing the female part. I'll wear something sexy. So Cory's like, Becky Schultz, I'm impressed, Shawn. She's like the 3rd coolest girl in our grade. Not that anyone's counting or ranking them. Okay, positioning. So he now starts freaking out because Shawn has his date. Topanga comes over, also wearing an outfit that was kind of an outfit that I would wear as an English teacher.
Yeah.
She's got like,
you
right?
would.
I totally would. High-waisted pant, a nice thick belt with a collared shirt tucked in with a blazer over it.
Mm-hmm.
I even noticed the blazer, she had the cuffs rolled up and there was like a velvet lining on the inside. It was a cool blazer.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, what are you guys doing? Cory's like, oh, we're just standing and being. Topanga's like, and hoping a girl asks you to the dance. Cory's like, could be. Topanga's like, well, I'm not going. Cory goes, my only hope. I mean, why? And Topanga says, it's a protest. The concept of a turnaround dance implies that all the other times only the boys can do the asking. That's destructive, gender-biased thinking, and we have to get beyond that.
Okay.
Yes, Michelle. I was so happy to see that Topanga was being thrust back into her true and rightful role of being the progressive young ingenue. Of course, we get the comment. Oh, after that, Shawn says, why? Like, he says it like, no. We don't need to get beyond that. I like this. And then Topanga goes, besides, that weekend my daddy's taking me to New York for Christmas shopping. But like, I laughed. I literally laughed out loud because I was like, that is so accurate. Like,
yep.
You know, especially at that age, like this sort of idealistic, like, you know, it's like gender. Oh my God, I see it so much with the girls at my school. I really do, where it's like, in theory, they're like women's power. But at the end of the day, whenever the imbalance is in their favor, they support that. And they've even done this crazy psychological loopy thing where they like think they deserve it because they're women. They're like, well, women's power. My daddy's buying me presents. That's right, because I'm a woman and I deserve it. And I was like, no.
Everyone's a feminist until there is a spider around.
Oh my God. I laughed so hard at that joke though. That was a big laugh for me, for sure. And then I laughed again when Cory goes, oh man, now I've got to find an above average girl who's into destructive gender bias thinking. So funny. And then Cory's like, how about Allison? And Allison is this like tall blonde. Oh, is tall and blonde, white and blonde. Can we have a different? I love that we're gonna get Angela later in this series because it's like the hot, pretty, popular girl is always white, and always a very specific type of beauty, thin, wearing short skirts always. Anyway, I liked that Becky had short hair. She looked cool, but anyway, everybody's white. So much whiteness. I missed the like first couple episodes where, you know, we had like their friend who was black and had like the, you know,
name.
No name. I know it was still problematic, but at least I felt like there was some attempt to, you know, like with his shirt that had the
education
activist statement about education. So Cory's like, what about Allison? Shawn's like, Allison Cheever, get real. Cory's like, why? Just because she's the coolest girl in our grade? You don't think she'd ask me? Shawn's like, if a bomb dropped on the school and every other boy was killed except you, she'd go with the most popular dead guy. So then we get this like crazy scene where Cory's actually just imagining in his head that Allison is walking up to him and asking him to the dance, and there's like this dreamy music and like foggy lighting, and he says yes to her, but then when the dream dissipates and reality sets in and he opens his eyes, it's actually this girl Ingrid who had asked him, and he had indeed said yes to her. And Ingrid is dressed in a way that, you know, we all are to assume that she's quote unquote geeky or uncool. She's got very big glasses and she's got like two pigtails and sort of she's wearing this like very Mormon looking dress with like a very high neck collar and long sleeves, and she's all excited and she's like, you said yes, and then she goes over to her friends and she's like, Cory Matthews said yes, we're going to the dance together. An average guy said yes to me.
Damn. Cory can never catch a break.
But I noted that because I was like, all right, so she considers herself below average because she's clearly excited about average, right? So that was interesting to me. It was like not, you know, everyone else deeming her below average. It was her deeming herself below average. So then we're in the kitchen and Cory is pacing and he's rehearsing basically how to let Ingrid down easy and tell her that he actually doesn't want to go to the dance with her. And his way of doing it is, see, there's this guy who looks like me and sounds like me, but he's not me. Now, I reported him to the police, but they keep arresting me. So Alan comes in and he's like, oh yeah, that'll work. Cory says, Dad. And Alan says, no, it's not me. It's a guy who looks like me. And both of us are wondering what the two of you are up to. Cory explains what's happening. He doesn't want to go with Ingrid. And Alan says, but you said yes to her. Cory says, yeah, but my whole social standing for the rest of the year depends on which girl I'm there with. Alan says, oh, that's different. I understand. Go with the girl you said yes to. What do you think about Dad's advice?
I thought that was great and to the point. Go with the girl you said yes to.
Good job. I agree.
Yes.
So
even Eric too. I was surprised by Eric's reaction.
Well, no. I think Eric had a very different reason why he was telling him to go with the girl he said yes to. So Eric comes in and, you know, Alan leaves and Cory's like, Eric, I don't want to hurt Ingrid because she's a really sweet girl. But enough about her. Let's get me out of this date. And Eric's like, look, you heard what Dad said. And Cory says, oh, please, he's old. He's out of touch. I mean, the last girl he dated was mom. So Cory goes to pick up the phone and Eric stops him and says, you have to go with Ingrid. You bail on this girl, it's all over for you. Cory's like, why? It's one girl, one date. No. You dump one girl, they're all gonna know. And they're all gonna hate you. Remember, women are in constant communication with each other. So now what do you think about Eric's advice?
Now that there's an underlying ominous agenda.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not authentically like the right thing to do is to follow through with your promise to go with the person you said you were going to go with. It's if you say no to her, you will get no's from every other girl.
Yeah.
So I do kind of love the way that Eric demonstrates this. And this was like one of the moments for me that I was like, oh, I love Michelle, our writer. We're on a first name basis. This is fantastic writing. So Morgan enters and just like goes into the refrigerator, which by the way, like, do you think we could have just gone over to the refrigerator at her age and just grabbed something to eat and like walked away?
Oh, I didn't think about that. Probably not. I feel like I would have opened the fridge and like hear Dad around the corner. What are you getting?
So Morgan goes over, opens the refrigerator, and when she goes in, Eric says to Cory, Cor, did you enjoy the vegetarian chili Mom made last night as much as I did? You know, sometimes I think we take our great mom for granted. And then Morgan just like, you could see that she heard what he said, and then she just walks out. And Cory's like, okay. Anyway.
He's like, can we get back to me?
Literally. Cory's like, Eric, could we please stick to my problem for a second here? And Eric's like, yes, your problem. Your problem is the International Women's Network. Look, you blow off this girl, everybody online's going to know about it in the morning. Online. Internet. Crazy.
Was AIM a thing yet?
No, AIM wasn't invented yet. That was 1997.
So where was everybody chatting?
So 1983 was the invention of the internet. Okay, so in 1994, the internet was an emerging niche technology with only a small fraction of the population online, often through dial-up services like AOL, CompuServe, and Prodigy, which functioned as walled gardens separate from the true World Wide Web.
What do you think AOL's up to?
So Cory says, oh, I don't believe that. And Eric says, well, you could be right. Then again. And then Amy walks in. I love her. She's so authentic. I really believed her. She was like, I didn't know you liked my chili. And she like puts her arms around both of them. What can I get my wonderful boys for dinner tomorrow night? So sweet. She stole my heart with that. I was like, Amy, they lied to you. So bad.
It was vegetarian chili. Which I have a bomb-ass recipe for.
I was going to say, which can be really good if made well.
Yeah.
That TVP.
That TVP.
For those who don't know, that's texturized vegetable protein.
Yeah. Textured vegetable protein, soy meat, or soya chunks. It's like dehydrated soy.
Yeah.
That when cooked kind of has the texture of ground meat.
It's a great way to make veggie chili that kind of feels like real chili.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Eric proved his point because clearly Morgan went and told Mom, which is hilarious and a great way to showcase that. And when Amy says that, Eric just looks at Cory and goes, and bad news travels even faster. And so we're in Turner's classroom, and they're reading George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion. What do you know about it?
I know what the Cliff Notes told me because I never read it.
And what did you learn?
I learned that it is... Okay, basically the story is that a man teaches a woman how to act more proper, to present more proper, speak more like somebody in high society would, dress more, quote, properly. And she succeeds, but feels inauthentic. So she's kind of, at the end, she's kind of like, well, I want to be proper, but like, I also want to be me. Pygmalion was my word of the day.
Right? Isn't that a great word?
Mm-hmm. It did remind me of a movie that I remember seeing that I think that was based off of. I had to look up the name. It was My Fair Lady because I just remember that one scene where they're singing and she's like, the rain in Spain falls mainly in the plain. I remember that.
Yes, that is fully Pygmalion. That is what that movie is based on. And there are tons of episodes of television shows that basically are riffs on this play. Mm-hmm. Because, so Pygmalion is actually a reference to the Greek god. Is it a god? Actually, it's a Greek figure. Let me just double check.
Yeah, Greek mythology. Pygmalion was a sculptor yes, in Cyprus.
Mm-hmm. Who fell in love with his own ivory statue. So he kind of like swears off women. He's like annoyed with women. And then they're not good enough for him. Real women aren't good enough for him, which we could unpack that for days. But he ends up sculpting his idea of a perfect woman, and then he falls in love with his own statue. And then I think like Aphrodite even brings the statue to life, and then he marries it. What an insane story. But so the idea of like sculpting the woman that you want and then marrying her, that was the inspiration for this idea of like the Pygmalion play, which George Bernard Shaw writes about, like a man basically teaching a woman how to be proper, which Pretty Woman is essentially, right? This is very like male fantasy, right? What if I could get a woman who, and I'm thinking specifically about Pretty Woman now, who, you know, is as hot and into sex as like the hottest, you know, whore, because that's what she is. And then, but I could teach her how to be proper and, you know, how to not be crass and you know, all the other things that come along with the lifestyle of being a prostitute. And like, I really do think that it's ultimately a male fantasy. So I think that idea was acknowledged in this episode, the idea of like the problematic nature of men and boys like creating their idea of a perfect woman when all of the magazines are spread out on the table and the boys are like, let's give Ingrid like this hair and these lips. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And Amy comes over and she's like, this is horrible. Like, what are you doing? These are unrealistic body expectations. These are male fantasies of what a woman should be. And then she's like, where did you get these? And Cory's like, from your nightstand.
Owned. This is another example of the flip-floppiness of it, right?
Exactly. This idea that like, yeah, like if women, we're 50% of the population, like if we were really against this stuff and we didn't, you know, like we shouldn't be consuming, because I will admit myself that I consume content that glorifies a certain type of look for a woman. I do like looking at, you know, women that I consider to be beautiful as like inspiration for my own beauty, right? Like if a woman has really great blonde highlights, for example, I'm like, ooh, and I consume that content. I want it. I want to cut out that picture and bring it to my hair colorist, who is my dad. And, or, you know, like, or nails or whatever it is, or makeup, like we consume that stuff and we feed into it, but then it's like, we don't like the restrictions that it puts us, you know, it puts on us.
Yeah.
But then we also kind of have to stop feeding into it ourselves.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do love that they're doing Pygmalion. It's hard. I know. It's almost like we're all human beings and we all have to deal with the same flaws in our nature. Weird. Anyway, I do like that they're doing Pygmalion. Pygmalion is also the, like, on the New York City or maybe New York State curriculum for like public schools for middle schoolers, so they all have to read Pygmalion, which is awesome. And we love a good makeover.
I love a makeover episode, and that might be shallow of me, but I really do love it so much.
Why do we love it so much? It's not even like people too. It's like homes, like any makeover. I love it.
I love a makeover.
So Turner's talking about the play. He's saying Shaw's play, Pygmalion, is filled with strong opinions about class prejudice because she's part of the lower class. In Pretty Woman, right, her low class status is the fact that she's a prostitute. He's this rich guy, right? So he's essentially trying to like train her how to be in his world, in his upper class world.
Mm.
Of course, he asks them what they think, and they're all silent and staring at him. And he has a great line that I actually do want to bring into my classroom, even though it's kind of cheesy. Wow, I didn't know they were taking the class picture today. It's funny. Come on. How you speak, how you walk affects how you're going to do in life. You guys believe that?
I think he's right. I hate to say it, but it's true.
Yeah.
There are some obvious indicators of that, right? Like looking your best for an interview, right? Dressing appropriately, but there is absolutely the thing called pretty privilege that gets people further than others. And
totally.
I don't really know what to make of that because I think we all kind of fall for that.
Totally. And I don't love that, if I'm being honest, I have benefited from it myself a little bit. I remember like looking around at all the servers at a restaurant I worked at and being like, wow, all the servers here are really attractive. And then being like, oh, I think I might be attractive too. And same at my school, because I work at a private school. Like all the teachers at my school are really attractive people. And I'm like, oh, well, don't I fit just right in?
Now you gassing yourself up.
Yeah, I am. But like, I'm not gonna now, because I'm benefiting from the system, I'm not gonna like actually work to change it, which sucks. Like, I don't want to be that person.
Yeah. But then
there's the other part. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the other part, like if you're gonna actively try to change it by like, if you're in a position of hiring people, or you're gonna be like, I'm gonna actively seek out ugly people, and then you're like,
you're still
thinking of people as ugly, like
right.
that's also wrong.
Yeah,
everyone's beautiful.
I know. Everyone is truly beautiful, though. Like I believe that. I'm sorry.
I agree. I agree.
Really, yeah, but you're right. Like how you carry yourself does matter, and I think it's really hard to teach like young kids not to judge people based on how they look or carry themselves, but also to live their lives in a way, carry themselves in a way, present themselves in a way that accounts for the fact that other people will probably judge them based on how they look and carry themselves. Do you know what I mean? Like that's really hard to carry both in your mind. Like don't judge anyone, but other people probably are judging people. So don't be like them, but like prepare yourself for a world that does that. But don't do it. But everyone else is doing it. But you don't do it. But make sure that you also look good. But don't judge other people that don't look good.
Yeah.
Like you can't really do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
For example, wearing pajamas in class. Like, I have to admit, I judge it. For me, it looks unprofessional. It looks schleppy and schlappy, right? Like, and I don't actually think it affects how you learn. I don't actually think it makes you a better or worse student. I just think it shows that you don't value presentation, and like you don't really care about the way you dress, or you do, but you don't value looking a certain way.
Or I think
I'm sorry,
less about that and more just you don't care. It's just like a general lack of care that is unattractive.
And I don't really care about the impression I'm leaving on you. I'm really just here to get something from you and then go and live my life. And like I just see school as having the potential to be so much more than that. Like I see it as a networking opportunity. I see it as like the impressions that you make on your teachers and especially your professors can literally change the trajectory of your life. Like my experience in grad school literally changed the trajectory of my life. Like the connections I made with my teachers and the reputation I had there was the reason I got the job that I have now, because my current boss hired me based on the fact that when he asked his colleagues at Columbia, like, who in your program is promising, my name came up. Like, and the reason for that was I showed up for class, put together, presented well. I looked all my teachers in the eyes. I had conversations with them that were authentic. Came up to them after class. I was present and clearly interested in what they had to offer me. So I want every kid to like have the opportunity to have that. But also, like, at the end of the day, if they don't want it, they don't want it. You know, I wanted it.
Yeah.
I also like actively put myself in grad school because I wanted to learn that stuff.
Right,
and
yeah.
these kids are not actively putting themselves in school. Their parents are doing it for
Their
them.
brains
you know?
are still forming.
Yeah. Anyway, Turner is talking about Pygmalion, and he's like, oh, come on. What if day one I walked into this classroom? Hey, how you doing? My name's Mr. Turner. I'm going to be learning you guys some good English, okay? I can't even do the accent. And Shawn's like, I'd have a shot at an A, which I laughed at. How you speak, how you look, Turner says, affects people's perceptions of who you are. I agree. And the bell rings. Read Pygmalion, people. Don't make me do this again tomorrow. I felt that. So Cory and Shawn are heading into the hallway, and this is when Shawn shows that he actually read the play. He's like, Cory, you're going to love me. I just figured out how to make your date with Ingrid work. Cory's like, it's okay, Shawn. I've accepted my average fate. Shawn's like, no, look, you'd be happy to go to the dance with her if she was cool. Cory's like, yeah, but she's not cool. Shawn says, so we make her cool. Cory's like, is that possible? Shawn says, it's all here in the pig play. You know, we change her clothes, her hair, her whole look. Cory's like, Shawn, we're guys. What do we know about girls' clothes? Shawn says, not much, but I'm thinking Becky Schultz knows a whole lot. So they end up recruiting Becky to do a makeover for Ingrid. Now, at first, I hated this because there was no precursor to this scene where they're in the kitchen and they're looking at all the, magazines. All of a sudden, Ingrid's just up in the bedroom. We don't see her. She's back there. And the boys are just like, this hair, these lips. And I'm like, ugh, like, it was weird, right?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah. Very Frankenstein-y.
Exactly. But then I was like, oh, okay. So Becky comes down. She's like, presenting the new and improved Ingrid. And Ingrid comes down. It's super weird to me when like these adolescents come down in like heels and a little dress that's super tight. And like, ugh.
A little body contrast. I was like,
ugh, it's weird. And her hair's down. She doesn't have her glasses on. So naturally she is transformed.
That's the classic trope when they take the glasses off. They're like, my God, she's hot.
I like that she didn't really have a lot of makeup on. She did like her face and hair was like natural, which was nice. It wasn't like she was, totally done up like a Barbie. But yeah, her clothes were weird. I did like her choice as an actress to come down and be kind of awkward in the heels. Like I thought that was great because then it made sense when Shawn, I actually liked that Shawn was like, no, it doesn't work. Something's not working. It's like, okay, Shawn. He was like, Cory's like, what are you talking about? She's gorgeous. And again, it was like weird to me because I was like, why are we talking about her like she's not a real person? Like she's a doll, like she's gorgeous. And Shawn's like, nope, we're going for cool. Yes, she's gorgeous, but what does that get you? And Cory goes, everything. Which speaks to your pretty privilege thing. And he's like, no, we need something else. He picks up the magazine, one of the magazines on the table. He goes, cool is more than just looks. It's an attitude. It's a feel. This girl, he's looking at the magazine, is exotic. Ugh, I don't like that word. It's like, yeah, anyone who's not white is exotic. Like, what does she look like? Why does she look exotic? But anyway, this girl is exotic. There's something mysterious about her. She looks like her name would be Amaretto or Frangelico or Kahlua.
Frangelico. Oh my God. Shawn, where are you getting these words?
For those who don't get that, those are all alcohols. And Cory's like, you mean we need to give Ingrid a foreign name? And then Ingrid's like, it is foreign. It's Swedish. And Shawn goes, wait a minute. You mean like Swedish from Switzerland?
That was a classic Shawn line right there.
And he's not so studious after all. And Ingrid's like from Sweden, where my mom's family lives. And Shawn's like, you have family in Switzerland? Ingrid's like, Sweden. Yeah, we go there every summer. My Aunt Uma has a house on the beach. That's beautiful. Shawn's like, oh, Cory, this is too good. And Cory's like, come on, Shawn, what do you mean? Shawn goes, Ingrid, confirm or deny? In Sweden, at the beach, women naked. Ingrid's like, yeah, sure, it's no big deal. Shawn's like, wrong. It's a very big deal.
Wrong. It's a very big deal.
I was like, this is so dumb, but it unfortunately is so accurate to 7th grade mindsets.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so Cory's like, okay, yeah, for Swedish guys and gay women, but what does it get us? And Shawn goes, Cory, by this time tomorrow, I can make Ingrid cool at John Adams High. And you cool by association. But in order to do that, you must be willing to boldly go where no 7th grader has gone before. Are you with me? And Ingrid says, yes, please. So this is where I started to be like, okay, she wants this. I feel like I would have felt more comfortable if they just established that before she was like up in the room and they were snipping together lips for her. Yep. So Cory goes, no. He looks at her and he's like, his plans never work. It's gonna blow up in our faces. And Ingrid goes, I want to be popular. I was like, oh, okay, if she wants this, then okay. And again, excellent writing, because we have been set up for this by the multiple moments when women were delegitimized by their own problematic natures, right? We had Topanga demonstrate it, we had Amy demonstrate it, and now we're having Ingrid demonstrate it. Yep. And that is excellent writing. A+, Michelle. Good job. Cory says, okay, we'll go with the Swede. Then we're in the hallway. Shawn is with a bunch of people. He's got Becky there with him, and then there's all these other random extras. And Shawn's going, so Cory's going out with Ingrid, right? Did you know that she's Swedish? And Becky goes, Sweden, huh? Is it true what they say? I was thinking of that Bye Bye Birdie scene.
Oh, yeah.
And Shawn goes, yeah. They sunbathe in the nude. And Becky goes, amazing. What about the schools? Shawn goes, nude. Becky goes, the malls? And Shawn goes, nude. At the Gap, all they sell are hats. Oh, here she comes. Oh, here she comes. And then everyone's like, whoo, whistling and jeering. And some guy goes, wow, look at Ingrid. She's so, and Shawn goes, cool. And the guy goes, yeah, but what's with the clothes? A drindle. She's wearing a drindle. The guy is like, oh, I don't know. Is she cool? Because that's kind of an uncool thing to wear. And Shawn just covers it right up by going, well, it's really not for me to say, but underneath the clothes, nude. Which I remember that joke making me laugh as a kid, because I was just like, everyone's dead under there going laugh. Cory's like, they're buying. Shawn goes, oh yeah. So we're in the lunchroom, and Feeney goes over to Shawn. He's like, the girl in the white turtleneck, is that Ingrid Iverson? Shawn's like, that's her. Feeney's like, what on earth has she done to herself? Shawn says, oh, she didn't do it. We did. Cory and me. Feeney goes, Cory and I, Mr. Hunter. Shawn's like, oh, yeah, sure. Now everybody wants to take credit. So Cory is now sitting at a table in a Swedish sweater with Becky, Ingrid, and Allison. Allison has been confirmed the coolest girl in school. Becky has been confirmed the third coolest girl in school. And Ingrid might be number 2 at this point. So he's just sitting with the most popular girls in the school right now. And he's like, so ladies, tomorrow night at my place, a little pre-dance smorgasbord. Just say, yeah. Is smorgasbord a Swedish word?
Oh, it sounds like it is. Let's see.
That might be my word of the day.
Smorgasbord. The word
Yeah.
smorgasbord comes from the Swedish word smorgasbord, which literally translates to sandwich table or bread and butter table. It's a combination of smorgas, sandwich, open face sandwich, or bread and butter, and board, table.
Fantastic. Not me thinking it was like a New York City Jewish word.
A smorgasbord.
A smorgasbord, right?
Yeah. With a little lax toast.
Incredible. I'm so excited that we just learned that that's a Swedish word through this episode. Thanks, Michelle. Cool. That's my word of the day. So Alan says, okay. And then Ingrid's like, Cory, can I talk to you for a minute? And then the two other girls, Allison and Becky, just get up and walk away. And Cory just goes, uh-oh. And Ingrid goes, Cory, I can't go to the dance with you. Cory's like, what? Like, echoing yeah. And Ingrid goes, you know how you guys wanted me to be cool? And Cory says, yeah. And Ingrid's like, it's working better than I ever dreamed. This morning, Rick Lawler talked to me. He's never talked to me before. So I asked him to the dance, and he said yes. Aren't you happy for me? So this reminded me of Pygmalion, the episode of Will and Grace with the part 1 and part 2. Remember?
Yes. I was trying to remember what that was called. Yeah, I remember they used that term. Okay, now I get the reference. Interesting.
Right?
I
so
loved
in that
episode.
Right? I think we all kind of love this plot line. That's why they keep repeating.
Yeah.
Kind of like Pride and Prejudice was like the original enemies to lovers plot that like everything else copied after that.
Yeah.
This Pygmalion is like the original like makeover plot, right?
I don't realize how much I love it. I love a makeover plot.
We do. And we love how the power shifts once the person is made over, right? So like she's all that, it does the same thing. But anyway,
like the episode of Buffy where I think it's season 1 or 2 with Willow turning into like evil Willow, and she's like a hot like vixen, and I'm like, yes, I'm into it.
Yeah. And like how the person who made them over then ends up losing them because they're like, oh, I'm hot now, like I have options and I don't want to choose you. Thanks for making me over though, bye. That's what happens in Pygmalion. Will falls in love with him and then he leaves. Sorry, spoiler. So
sad.
I know. I felt so bad for Will. I was like, wait, this guy's actually perfect for you. And you finally found someone.
God, he was so single for the whole show.
I know. I relate so hard. Like he's a lawyer and he's so good looking. He's a little dweeby, but he's great. And that's exactly how I feel about myself, except I'm not. And you're my Grace.
Oh God.
But I am very well in a lot of ways.
What's the most Grace thing about me?
You love food.
I do love food. That is probably the most Grace thing about me. Yes. I would eat entire takeout by myself.
Would you like fart in an elevator and then lie about it?
Lie about it. No, probably not. No, I probably would lie about it. I'd be like, I would be the first to be like, oh my God, what is that?
So she tells Cory she's going out with Rick Lawler. And she's like, you wouldn't want me to pass that up, would you? And Cory's like, yes, pass. And Ingrid's like, Cory, I could have never done this without you. Thanks for everything. And she kisses him on the cheek. And he goes, on the cheek. Shawn comes over immediately. Sorry, man. I just heard. Cory's like, it just happened. Shawn's like, yeah, well, I'm tapped into the girls' network.
Tapped in.
Cory's like, Shawn, I gotta face facts. I'm average, and average guys don't get asked to dances. It just doesn't happen. Allison comes over. Cory, would you like to take me to the dance?
I was not expecting that at all. I wasn't thinking anything fishy.
I thought she legitimately was convinced that Cory was kind of cool because of Ingrid. Like, because they were all sitting at a table together. So I was like, oh, maybe like, because they did plant the seed about the girls' network. And I was like, maybe she just really is kind of like, oh, I feel bad for him. Like, this girl just dumped him. And he is kind of cool because the coolest girl in school wanted to go out with him. So, like, I want to go out with him now. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So Cory is like, oh, I don't want to be dramatic, but like, yeah. So he just like hugs her legs. Then we're in the living room and Eric's heading off to the dance. Amy and Eric are like decorating the tree. And Amy's like, you're going to go pick up your date. And Eric's like, no. Tonight's the turnaround. Tonight I sit down, relax, make myself pretty. While the girl comes to the door, asks if I'm ready, and suffers through the nightmare interrogation by my parents. And then you just hear the car horn honk. And he just goes, I feel so cheap. Good for you, girl. Show him what it's like on the other side. So then he just like runs out the door and he's like, Cory, your ride's leaving. Cory comes down and he's so sweet. He like doesn't rush. He like asks his parents like, so what do you guys got planned for tonight? Alan's like, we thought we'd just finish trimming up the tree, you know, wrap a few presents, get to bed early. Cory's like, careful, you don't want to overdo it. And Alan's like, you know, at our age, all right, go, goodbye, get out. So Cory leaves. And then Amy and Alan are like, ooh, and they like take out their wine and they get all ready to like give each other massages and they're going to have a great night. And a little throwback to the episode where clearly they like to get it on in every episode. I'm just saying.
I'm so here for it. Keep it spicy, fam. I love it.
Well, they didn't get it so spicy. We had to get to the end, but that was the intention at least. So we're at the dance. Woo! They got a lot of extras for this dance. Tons of kids. Woo! Good for them.
I wonder how long they had to dance back there. They were just kind of doing this for like 20 minutes.
And you know there was no music. They just had to be like... God, I want to be an extra so badly. Do you know this about me? Oh,
I
you
believe
too.
you.
So I feel like I'd be such a good extra. I'd be so extra.
You know that my friend Delissa is in the scene of it? Like she is.
Can she get me one? I want
she might be able to get you on some list, but she gets emails all the time from like, we're looking for extras in like Morgan Wallen's music video or this like movie that's being filmed here, like stuff like that.
Put me in, coach. I'm so ready. I could be whatever you need me to be. I could be sad. I could be happy. I could be nothing. I could be invisible if you need me to be invisible. I could dance. I could do whatever. I just want to be in something and be like, look, that's me. That's it. I'm right there. Oh. Okay, so Cory and Allison walk in. Allison goes, all right, bye. And she like walks off. And Cory's like, wait. And she's like, he's like, where are you going? She's like, over there with Danny. You know I'm going out with Danny, right? Cory's like, but you asked me. Allison's like, I asked you to take me. See, my parents won't let me go out with ninth graders, so I always get somebody else to take me to the dances, and then I meet up with Danny. Everybody knows that. Didn't you know that? Cory's like, no. Cory, you gotta get tapped into the women's network.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's not already tapped in. He seems like he would be.
Right? At least through Shawn, because Shawn's tapped in.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, why didn't Shawn tell him?
Yeah, Shawn.
Shawn, what kind of friend are you? But also, like, Ingrid should have told him, right? Because Ingrid...
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so that,
Ingrid.
they address that later. Yeah, they address that in the conversation they have later. It did take me twice. I watched the episode twice, and the second time I was like, oh, they were addressing the fact that, like, Ingrid absolutely did not tell Cory this thing that she easily could have told him because she's friends with Becky and, like, didn't tell him. Anyway, so Cory's like, stupid. And Allison's like, well, thanks. And, like, goes to kiss him on the cheek. And he just goes, no, keep your pity cheek kiss.
Go off, King.
The way he was like, no. I laughed so hard. And then Shawn immediately comes over. Oh, Cory just heard about you and Allison.
Oh, Cory, just heard about the news.
Cory's like, how'd you do that? Shawn's like, so you were dumped twice, Shawn. Cory says, same dance. It's got to be a record. That is really embarrassing. Shawn's like, hey, you'll be in the yearbook. Don't sweat it, man. I'll go grab you a glass of punch and a big pile of cookies. Good sugar rush and you'll be fine. So Feeney, there's like a little side thing with Feeney and Turner and Kat. And Feeney's like, we just get a shot of Feeney being like, this is a school function, not the backseat of your car. I expect while you're at this dance that you behave with a reasonable amount of restraint. And then we find out that this camera shifts and he's talking to Turner and Kat. And, you know, he basically tells them they're supposed to be chaperoning. And they're like, Feeney, you could also just like find someone and like go do what we're doing and have a good time. And he's like, no, maybe I could. And he heads off. Turner and Kat confirm that Kat was just toying with him. Oh, like a cat. They have like a very flirty cat and mouse kind of relationship.
Mm-hmm. It's very flirty.
It is very flirty. They're like a little too flirty around the kids, in my opinion, personally. Because I don't know. I'm just like not in that mindset around the kids. Like it's weird to me to be that way. You know what I mean? Like my mind is in a different place. And
yeah. That's why like I could not date somebody that I work with.
Yeah,
I can't marry the two at this like in the. It's just my head's in a totally different space at work.
Ingrid comes in all wet, like soaking wet head to toe. And Gore's like, Ingrid? And Ingrid's like, Cory, is that you? And she's squinting. She can't see him. She doesn't have her glasses on. Cory's like, yeah, what happened to you? You're soaked. And Ingrid says, a bunch of us popular couples were standing around the pool talking, and everyone kept saying how cool it'd be to jump in. Cory's like, so you all jumped in? And Ingrid's like, no, just me. You see, the cool thing is talking about jumping and not actually doing it. I didn't know that. I kind of loved her for that, though.
Yeah. She owned it.
She owned it. Like, that is actually the pretty cool thing to do. Is
that
like,
is
y'all
cool
are talk. I'm actually going to do it. She's really cool. She's like, now I'm all wet. My contacts fell out. And my cool boyfriend discovered a bunch of dry people he'd rather be with. So Cory very sweetly gets her glasses out of her bag for her and hands them to her. And when she puts them on, she's like, hi. And Cory's like, hi. Which was a really sweet moment. The acting between these two was electric.
Yeah.
They were fantastic. So Ingrid goes, so where's Allison? And Cory says, with Danny Taylor, her boyfriend, the one that everybody knows about. And again, the second time I watched this, I realized that he was implying like the one that you knew about. And Ingrid goes, oh yeah, sorry about that. And Cory goes, well, sorry about that. Her getting wet. And Ingrid goes, yeah, well, I guess that's what I get for trying to be one of the cool kids, which clearly I'm not. Cory says, I'm with you there. And I will admit that when he delivered that line, I could tell that the actor felt like it wasn't natural for him. And that was the only moment where I was like, maybe the writing like was a little bit foreign for them. Because again, I constantly am in awe of the fact that these actors have to figure out a way to maintain a consistent character while also getting writing from so many different writers. Like there are so many different perspectives on their character that are being thrust at them, and they have to find the thread that runs throughout all of these different iterations of their character. Yeah. So I was like impressed with Cory, but this was the one moment where I was like, that didn't feel natural for him to say. I'm with you there. And then he goes, listen, Ingrid, I wanted to say I'm sorry for what Shawn and I did to you. There you go, Cory. You know, changing you around and everything. And Ingrid says, that's okay. It really was fun for a while. Until I hit the water. Cory goes, no, see, we didn't do it for you. We did it for me. So I could have a date that everyone else thought was cool. This is the redemption that we need to see in Pretty Woman, in all the other versions, right? I mean, I think we get it. No, I don't think we get it in the Will and Grace episode. I don't think Will ever like apologizes really and says like, I'm sorry for treating you like an object. You know?
Yeah, I don't remember if he ever does say any of that.
Yeah. This was very satisfying for me as a teacher, as someone who is doing this podcast for a reason, who feels like this show, it does ultimately like teach moral lessons. Like this was great. I was like, good. Yes, teach the children to apologize and to admit when they're wrong. And Ingrid says, yeah, I knew that. That's why I didn't feel bad about dumping you. Which makes sense. She was like, well, he just treated me like an object anyway, so I don't feel bad about dumping him. That makes perfect sense to me. So I liked this back and forth a lot. But then she says, until now. Sorry. And her acting there was excellent. She really said that with so much vulnerability and truth. Like I believed her. She really meant sorry. And for a kid her age, I was like, good for you. Wow, that was great. And Cory also truly says sorry back. And he says, you know what's funny? We might have actually had a good time tonight if we'd just come here together as ourselves.
Ding, 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 ding. Bingo, buddy.
Theme of the entire season. We just keep reiterating the same point. I guarantee you the writers are in the room talking about this, talking about the fact that this is what this season is about, that this is the main thing that they believe that adolescents struggle with and have to figure out is being themselves.
Yeah, come back to themselves at some point.
Totally. And this is the Odyssey. This is the Odyssey we're on. We're just going to keep having trials and tribulations that bring us away from our home, ourself, but then we're going to ultimately find our way back to realizing that the best way to live, the way that makes us feel the most happy and satisfied and good in our skin is when we are just authentically ourselves. Cory is there. Unfortunately, he has to keep like retreating from it to keep reminding himself of it, but he knows it's there. And I love him for that. Eric, no, Eric is not there, and he never will be there, unfortunately. So Ingrid says, yeah, you may be right. I guess we'll never know. And suddenly this guy comes over and is like, are you Ingrid? Are you the girl that like jumped in the pool? And she's like, yeah, that would be me. And the guy says, oh, I think you're so cool. Want to dance? And she's like, yep. And Cory's like, what about being yourself? And she's like, give me a break. So again, women being problematic. It's realistic. They're not perfect. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I love it. So anyway, Eric comes over. Shawn comes over. There's this like photographer that comes over and wants to take their picture. Eric's mad because Jacqueline, the girl that he came with, her old boyfriend came into town, and it turns out that things aren't over between them, and she hopes that he'll understand. So, and then Shawn's just like, my girl's in the bathroom. She's been in there for 5 hours. Which is so funny because that's totally what middle school girls do. They just go to the bathroom for 5 hours and just hang out in there. It's so funny. So I laughed really hard at that. So now just like the three guys are sitting at the table and they're like all kind of like dumped, even though Shawn's like, I wasn't dumped. Like my girl's in the bathroom. So then this photographer wants to take their picture, and then Cory's like, come on, come over here. Like take our picture. We're going to remember this moment, you know, down the line, and, you know, we'll remember it as like the three coolest guys here. And they just do like a little cute, funny thing where they all take a picture, and instead of saying cheese, they say dumped. Like Shawn says, you guys have to say dumped instead of cheese. And Eric says dumped, and Cory says dumped. And then Shawn says cheese. Because he's not dumped. My girl's in the bathroom.
My girl's still in the bathroom. I promise.
She didn't dump me. She just doesn't want to hang out with me at the dance at all. So then there's a little like button on the episode where Cory and Eric come home, and Amy and Alan are asleep in the same position that they were in at the end of the last scene where he goes to give her a massage.
Oh my God.
And Eric's like, Cory, just go to your room. Nothing to see here. Just go. Like Cory goes up, and it's like, again, kind of sweetly, but also in a way that I'm like, it couldn't be me. Eric like kind of wants them to still have their romantic night, so he grabs a little like peanut or something and heads up the stairs and then throws it at Alan. So he wakes up, and then Eric goes up the stairs. So Alan wakes up and he's like, Amy, and they kind of get back into the massage for a second, and, you know, he's like, oh, you all warm and snuggly? And Amy's like, yeah, don't stop. And Alan's like, your turn to do me. I've been doing you for 6 hours. And Amy's like, 10 more minutes. And that's the end.
And that's the end of their romantic night. That means that they get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like you didn't talk at all that whole time. I just really just narrated the whole episode. So do you have any things you want to say about that episode?
Well, I just feel like I keep saying how much I love episodes like this, but I never really thought about the implications of how men and women can kind of be very, like, it's interesting how you talked about how we can talk about being so progressive, but then like not at the same time. And it's like very nuanced, I think.
Okay, let's wrap up. So what are your takeaways?
I think I'm going to try to be really more cognizant of how I think about my own beauty standards and others, and how I think of like what my reactions are to women versus men, and how I think about myself. I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't really know how I'll change. It's really more of just awareness. I like makeup. Like I don't see myself not using makeup, doing my hair, things like that. But I think it's important to kind of like keep that top of mind of how I react to women versus men and how they present themselves.
Yeah, my takeaway is similar. I have the same takeaway, honestly. I'm going to be more mindful of the ways that women actually contribute to the destructive gender bias thinking, as Topanga put it, that sort of holds us back. And like, I was aware of it, but this helped me to see it more. Like, I was like, oh yeah, women do that, don't they? So yeah, and I'm gonna do more ruminating on how I can, because this issue of the dress code at my school keeps coming up for me. Like, clearly it's on my mind, and it's irking me that I can't quite articulate why I want to see change in the way that these girls are dressing. And because at the end of the day, I understand the point that they are making about their own power and, you know, their own bodies. Like, you're right. Like, who is anyone else to tell you? Like, no one else should tell you how to do what you want to do. It's like out of protection and love that I'm just like, girl, you don't know though, like how some people are viewing you as like a sex object when they look at you like that. Like, they shouldn't. And this speaks to my idea, my point that we're sending dual messaging to kids that's like, don't assume anything about a person based on how they're dressed or what they look like, but also people assume things about you based on what you dress and how you dress and what you look like. So follow the rules as if everyone's judging, but don't judge. That's why there's a problem with the messaging for me, because I'm like, yeah, like women's power, woo, but also you're dressed like a baby prostitute. Like, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
So I need to figure out my message there. So I don't have an answer right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, rate and review us. Give us 5 stars, please. But also, when our YouTube is out, can you like subscribe? Because that actually really helps. Follow us at Boy Meets Wine Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. The name of the wine we had today was A to Z Pinot Noir. Theme song credit goes to Julia Rosa. Next week's episode is Season 2, Episode 13, Cyrano. Yay! Cory is asked to play Cupid. Ooh, perfect for after a Pygmalion episode. Thanks for listening. Bye! Bye!